Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and to the 8th part of this social network project series. So we will begin from my apology to you because I know there are some of you who wanted this part to be published way sooner. So, there are no good excuses, but I was really busy these days. And among others, I decided to rebrand Pyplane. So you can see we have a new logo, we even have a mascot, and soon you should see higher quality videos on this channel. So what we are going to cover today, we are going to begin by creating a forms.py file inside of our post application folder, and over there we are going to create a post form for our posts, for creating the posts, and then we will create one for the comments. So through this form we will be able to create comments. We will bring those forms into our views.py file, and we will write some logic so they can be handled from a single view, and we will also display the comments that we have under each post. Okay, so this is something that we will do in this part. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Alright then, so let's jump into Visual Studio Code, and inside the posts application folder we will create a new file called forms.py. Okay, so we will begin from importing from Django forms. So from Django import forms, and we will also need the models since both of those forms will be based on our models. So from dot models import post, and the second one is comment. So since we want to make them based on the model, and we want to save objects to the post model and to the comment model through this particular form, let's define a class, and let's call it post model form, and this will inherit from forms model form. Okay, and now what we need to do is to indicate what model we are willing to use. So we need to, with the class meta, indicate the model. So inside the class meta, let's specify that we want to assign the post model, and then we need to bring up the fields. So let's do it like this. And now we need to think about what kind of fields do we need. So if we go back to the models, here we have our fields. So for sure we will need content. For sure we will need image. Liked is blank is equal to true, and this is a different logic related to this field. So absolutely we are not even going to try to bring this to the form. And over here we have updated created, so this is going to happen automatically. And then we have the outer, and the outer will be also set automatically. So basically, if we go back to forms.py, we can specify that we want only the content and the image. Okay, so yeah, basically this is it. So we can go ahead and save this. We can go to the views.py file, and let's import our post form. So from .forms import post model form. We need to instantiate it. So over here we can write down a comment, post form and comment form. So now we can do the post form. So I'm just going to call it p form, and this will be post model form, and this will take in the request post or none, and request files, since we are going to also send an image, or none. Okay, and then we can write down if p form is valid, then we can simply write down p. Okay, we can't. We could write down p form save, but there would be a problem. This actually wouldn't work because we need to provide the author, and the author is the request user. So before we actually save this form, we need to have an author to be assigned to the field of the author. Okay, so in this case what we need to do is to get the profile by the request.user. So we have the profile model already imported, so somewhere over here we can define the profile, and this is going to be profile objects get, and we will specify that the user is going to be equal to the request.user. And then over here we can continue working. So what I'm going to do is to write down p4 save commit is equal to false. So we aren't saving the form just yet, but we are going to assign this to a variable called instance. And now what we can do is to write down instance author and assign to this author field this profile. Okay, and now that we have the author field filled out, we can simply save the instance. And this should do the thing. We can restart the form. So pform is going to be equal post model form, and we only need to pass this to the context so we can use it in our template. So let's do this really quickly. Pform, and assign to the pform we are going to have pform. Alright, so now we can save this and we can jump into main HTML, and here we have the form. So we can actually write down form action blank method is equal to post, and the class will be UI form. So this will give us the styling of the semantic UI framework, and we also going to be dealing with images, so we need to write down enctype multi-part and then slash form, not the dot but slash form data. Alright, so this is a post request, so let's put in a CSRF token, and then let's put in our form, and below let's have a button type submit, and let's have some nice class of the semantic UI, so UI button, and let's maybe make it light green, so I'm going to put in positive, and the label will be send post, and let's close off the button as well as the form. So now if we go ahead and save this, let's refresh. Okay, here is just the button. We don't see the form, okay, because it's not form, it's p form. So if we go to the views, we have to refer to this naming. If I would write here form, here you would see our form. As you can see, this is working, but we will have two forms. So one will be for the posts and the other one will be for the comments. So in this case, I'm naming this form as p form. So what I need to do is to jump back to main HTML and save this main HTML, and now nothing should change. So we still see this form, and let's try to add a post. I'm going to write down test post for and send, and there it is, as you can see. So this is working. The problem over here is that this content box is really big, and I would like to adjust it a little bit, so maybe it would begin over here and finish somewhere here. It doesn't need to be that big, so let's jump back into the forms, and above the class meta I'm going to write down content, so I'm referring to this field, and I'm going to write down forms char field, and I'm going to use a widget that will be equal to forms text area, and I'm going to specify an attribute that we want to have 2 rows. So we need to write down rows and then assign the value of 2. So let's save this now, let's refresh, and there it is. So this is looking much better in my opinion. Later we will add some margin to the button. Let's leave it like this for now, and let's jump into forms py because we still need to create one additional form for the comment. So I'm going to write down class, and this time it won't be a post model form but a comment model form. You can set your own names, that doesn't matter over here. And this will also inherit from forms.modelForm. And then what we are going to do is to specify with the class meta that we are referring to the model of our comment. And also we need to have defined our fields. So in this case, let's jump back to the models.py file. Let's have a look at the fields in the comment. We have the user, and then we have the post, body, updated, and created. Actually, we are only interested in this body, so we can bring the body over here, and let's add a comma because we are in a tuple. So yeah, this is basically it. We will see how this works. Maybe we can also add a placeholder because there's none by default. So I'm going to write down body, so I'm referring to this field over here, and we will use a widget again, so forms, also char field, and then we might reset the label. So I'm just going to put in test label, and then I'm going to come back to this and leave it blank, so you will see what this label actually does. And next I'm going to specify widget, and this time we are going to put in forms text input, and also we are going to specify the ATTRs, the attributes, and instead of rows we are going to put in placeholder, and the placeholder will be add a comment. Okay, so maybe let's add 3 dots. Okay, so we have specified the body, and we can bring this comment model form into our views because it's basically ready. So what I'm going to do is to put in a C form over here, which I need to import from forms, import comment model form, and I'm going to do it like this, comment model form, and this will take in request post or none. Because in the comments we aren't sending any images, and before we do the check if the C form is valid, let's just leave it like this and pass it to the context so we can actually display it. So I'm going to put in C form and assign to the C form the value of C form. So this is the naming, again, this is the naming that we are using in the template, and this is the value coming from here. Alright, so now we can go ahead and save this and jump back into our main HTML. So over here we need to find some place where we can actually display the form. And yeah, we are going to do some changes, but let's just jump into this div, fluid card. So we need to put it somewhere over here. Maybe I'm just going to try this out over here, how this works. So let's write down form action is equal to blank, method is equal to post, and then class will be UI form, and let's close off this form. Then let's add a CSRF token. All right, and let's display this C form as well as some button class is equal to UI. Maybe this time we will have a blue button, so UI primary button, and let's write down comment and then close off this button. Alright, so let's try this out. Let's see how this works. So here is our comment form, and we have a placeholder and a label. So this label is redundant because we have a placeholder, so instead of displaying this label, I'm going to reset it. I'm going to actually remove it, and we can do it by leaving an empty string in the label. So now if we refresh, the label is gone and this is looking much better. There's no padding over here. We will recreate this card a little bit later. Now what's important is to have a working solution, and with the styling we will be dealing a little bit later. So now let's jump back to our code editor and let's go to views.py file and let's try to save the comments. So the solution that I'm going to present over here won't actually work quite well because we are dealing with two forms in a single view. So let me do it first and then we will talk about the problems. If C form is valid, so over here we are going to assign the instance again, and this is going to be C form save commit is equal to false. And what we want to do is to assign to the instance user, which is defined over here, and it takes in the profile, so we need to put in the profile again. And the profile is the profile of the request.user, so the user that is currently logged in. Alright, so this is the first thing. Then we will also need, if we go back to the models.py file, we will also need a post because this is a foreign key to the posts. So in this case, we will need to go back to the views and we can write down instance post is equal to post objects get, and we will get it by the ID, but we're not ready to actually get this post because we need to go back to our main HTML and in the comment form, because we are in the loop right now, so we are looping through the posts, so we have also access in our comment form to the ID of a single post, so we can pass it with an input type hidden. So over here let's write input and let's specify the type. It's going to be hidden, and we can set the name as post ID, and we will grab this value that we will assign over here by this name, and the value will be nothing else as obj ID. Alright, so now we can go ahead and save it and return to our views.py file. Over here we can write down ID is equal to request post get, and we want to get it by the post ID. Alright, so now we have the post, and over here it should be instance, not instance, and yeah, we have all the fields. So what we can do now is to go to the views and write below instance save, and we can reset the form. So C form is going to be equal to comment model form like this, and yeah, we can go ahead and save it, refresh. Here's our comment form, so let's put a comment, and as you can see we have this field is required. So if we jump in the admin let's see what actually happened. Let's go to the comments. Here is our comment. It worked. However, it raised an error over here that this field is required. So when we are sending a post request, let's try this from this perspective. So we have a comment form over here, and let's see what happens if I write down test post 5. Let's save it. And now here we have this field is required. So when we send a post, here we get an error because this form wants to be submitted as well. So this is a problem, and we need to find a solution how to solve it. It will be pretty easy, but we need to jump into our Visual Studio Code in order to do it. I'm going to jump into main HTML first, and I'm going to find the buttons that submit the form. So here I have the form for the comments. So over here I'm going to add a name, and this will be for example, submit C form. Okay, so this is the name for the submit form. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to apply it to the post form. So don't confuse the post form with the like form, and the post form is over here. So I also see that we didn't add a type over here. So let's put in a type submit. Okay. So now we can jump over here to the post form and add a name, but instead of submit C form, we are going to do submit P form. So now let's save this. Let's go back to the views. And over here, I'm going to reorganize our code. So first of all, I'm going to grab the P form and put it over here. So I'm going to get rid of this or none, and I'm going to explain this in just a second, and this shouldn't take anything, and the same will be for the C form. So I'm going to paste this above the if C form is valid, and I'm going to get rid of or none and set this to be empty as well. Sorry, wrong place. I should delete this or none. Okay, so now we have P form, C form, and we would like to execute some code depending on which form has been submitted. And we already have the name set up. So I'm going to grab the submit P form, and I'm going to show you something. I'm going to head over to the views, and above the P form, I'm going to write another if statement. If submit P form in request post, I'm going to print out the request post, and I'm going to indent this, and I'm just going to comment out this instance save. I don't want to save objects yet, so let me refresh. So now we have oh, okay, because right now we are waiting for the request post, so we will fix this problem in just a second. Right now let's focus on this piece of code. So if I'm going to write down test and press send, we can go to the terminal, and over here we have CSRF middleware token, we have our content, our image, and submit P form. Okay, so based on this submit P form, which we have set up in our main HTML over here, we are determining which form is submitted. So in other words, in this piece of code, if the submit P form in request post, this means that the post form has been submitted, and we are executing this piece of code. So now if we bring this back in, and if we copy this and put it over here, what we can do is to do the same thing for the comments, but instead of submit C form, we are going to submit P form, we are going to have submit C form. So yeah, hopefully this will work as well. And um, what we can do else is to add initial value for the post added. So I'm going to write down over here initials, and the post added will be set to false. And when we submit a form, submit a post form, we are going to set this post added or post add, let's do it added, it will be more obvious, to be equal to true. And of course we need to pass this post added, post added, post added. All right, so now we can use this in the template. So we can jump into our main HTML, and over here we can write down if post added, and then we can put in a div with a class of UI green message, and the message will be post added. Alright, so now let's check everything out. I'm going to refresh, and we still have this field is required, so let me jump into views. It's still waiting for the request post, so I didn't delete this. Sorry about this. Okay, now we will test this out. So let me refresh. Now this is gone. Test post 6 sent. Here we have our test post 6. We have a confirmation that the post has been added. We don't have any errors regarding that the field of comment is required in this comment form. So this should solve the problem, but let's try to add a comment. So test comment, and as you can see, we don't have any errors over here as well. So I think this solution is working. Now let's try to display the comments. And in order to do that, we need to go to main HTML, and we need to find our comments. So our comments are, our comment form is over here. So maybe above we can add a div. Later we will add a class to this div, and we can simply write a for loop inside. So we are actually dealing with an obj. So what we can do is to write down for C as comment in obj, and then we want to do a reverse relationship. So comment set all, and then we are going to display the avatar, the user, but first let's do the comment body. Okay, so C body, and maybe let's do it in a paragraph. All right, so what else do we need? Maybe at the top we can check if obj comment set all actually even exists, if we have any comments. So let's write down if obj comment set all, and let's put it over here. So now let's refresh, and we have test comment. Okay, and here we have a comment. So let's try to add another comment, send, and test comment 2, test comment 3, and there it is. So this is working. Test comment 4, and as you can see, this is working. So we will finish off over here. In the next video we are going to style this so this will work, look a little bit better. Thank you guys for your time, and yeah, we will see each other soon. Take care and bye bye.